had some requests for an interior tour of the truck, so been meaning to get around to it, so we'll get that done. For those who don't know, this is a 2023 Kenworth W900 SAR Legend series. It's a, I guess, sort of a replica or tribute truck to the original production Kenworth first made in Australia, in Melbourne, Australia. Before that point, W900 Kenworths were imported from America and modified, converted to Australian roads and conditions, and they decided to make a production model, and this was the first model. So it's an anniversary Legend series truck. It's actually arrived in New Zealand last year, so it was manufactured last year, arrived here late last year, but it's registered this year to go on the road, so it's considered, I guess, 2023 according to the sticker on the window anyway. So there's external side lockers. This is where I keep tools, equipment, polishing gear, polish, stuff like that. Cab side doors, these open up just for a bit of fresh air if you want a bit of air or light if you're camping out. John likes the Auto Climber aircon units. Not well used in New Zealand. Yeah, not very common, but absolutely essential, I think, for the work we do. We work mostly nights, sleep during the day, and coming into summer, these are just fantastic. Wouldn't like to be without it, to be honest. Pretty hard sleeping in a hot truck on a sunny day. So yeah, like I say, John considers them essential, and I agree with him. So these are batteries. The other side's empty, it's just storage. Obviously tanks. But it's the inside everyone wanted to see, so let's jump up. Being a Legend series, they have the old school doors. They don't have the daylight doors that Kenworth favour now. Trimmed in old school sort of brown, which is an option. You can have them, you can still trim them in whatever colour you like. John went for brown, which I think was a good choice for a retro colour. Old school stainless door handles, inside and out. Just takes me right back to growing up in Kenworth trucks with my uncle. So they have the heritage gauge. So again, for a retro look with the white dials. These aren't the same as the original gauges that Kenworth used in the original SAR, but they do give it an old-fashioned look. The heritage gauge collection. So also the toggle switches, which are I'm a big fan of. Big fan of the toggle switches myself. So if you want to have a look up here, you've got your engine brake, so you've got on, off, and these your stages. Don't really use the first stage all that much. Alright, sorry, we just had to stop. We had a pedestrian walking past, stopped to compliment the truck, which I do get quite a lot actually, parking outside my house here, which is nice. It's nice to get some feedback from people who aren't complaining about trucks. So yeah, you got your engine brake selector, mirror heat, obviously, engine fan, Horton clutch fan we use quite a lot on hills, both up and down. This one here I haven't allocated yet, it's a spare. I've got some ideas for things I want to put on there, but hazard lights, obviously, headlights, park and on, loading lights, so we have loading lights on the mirrors here. Good spotlights, good for if we're loading in the dark, which mostly we're working in lit up yards at night. This one here, reverse override, is good for just if you want to flick your reverse lights on in the back of the trailer while you're not actually in reverse. It comes on, of course, automatically when you go into reverse gear, but it's good to have an override as well, just if you want to see something behind you while you're parked up. Night light I have on currently because I just leave it on over the weekend when it's parked outside my house, as the law requires, sorry. And these are just mirror adjustments, which are quite handy. without him to pop out and do them manually. Down here we have suspension dump, which I use for sometimes for connecting and disconnecting the trailers. Interaxle diff lock, and yeah, cross locks forward and rear. Here's the window, air operated windows as they used to be back in the old days. So that's the window. Right next to the fifth wheel turntable sliding switch, which is to me a bit of a design flaw, but I have this one on a longer toggle extension, so I haven't yet had too many incidents with the unlocking the turntable slider, which I'll actually just run out and show you in a minute for those who don't know what that is. And this is the passenger side window switch over here. I'll keep my port card on, and my friend Chewy. So we'll just quickly jump out and do that actually. So for those who don't know, some of these trucks have sliding turntable. If you have a different configuration you hook up to, sometimes you move it, so you flick that switch, and inside here are like an air operated, there's the airline there, an air operated sliding bolt that locks into these teeth. So you flick that switch and that bolt, the air ram under there will pull those bolts together, so they'll slide out of these pins here, and this will slide. So what you do is you hook up to your trailer that you want, lock the pin into the turntable, and then you'll either leave your airlines off, or you'll use your trailer brake to move the truck forward or backwards to slow the turntable to where you need it to be. I'm not sure why John put them on. I think we do have some different trailers. A couple of John's older trailers have the kingpins in different places, so you do need to move it if you're going to tow those particular trailers, although I pretty much just tow the one set. There's the Susie hookups there, which is another thing that John does that not many people do them there. A lot of trucks now will either have them on the back of the cab, which we do as a backup, or a lot of guys mount them down on the light bar now, which is, I think it's a good idea, but because John has these custom light bars made up, he didn't want to mess with them, so he puts them up there, which is actually a really good spot. So we'll go back inside. We've got storage under the seats, pretty standard in Kenworths. Easy seat adjustments. Alright, as they were back in the day, the brakes are down this side. Push in to release, pull out to apply. There's the trailer brake, which is not connected to anything at the moment, obviously, because the trailers aren't on. Those custom knobs I got in from the States. I just had an engineer make up the adapters, because they're the old Australian Kenworth for some reason use the pin-on knobs as opposed to the screw-on like the Americans do now. This is the trailer brake lever, which we use sometimes on hills. If you're engine braking in the wet, sometimes it might be a bit greasy, maybe you're a bit light on the truck, on the tractor unit, and the engine brake can lock up the drive axles, so you don't want to do that. If you're coming up to a sharp hairpin corner in the wet and you're hard on the engine brake, maybe you just flick the trailer brake a little bit, just to the trailers will pull from the back, pull you up without jackknifing the truck. Gauges are pretty standard. Your tacho and speedo and pyrometer. I like the Kenworth have a big pyro. Mechanic, and actually John himself is a mechanic as well as a driver with many years of experience in both fields, and a lot of those old school guys will tell you that's one of the most important gauges you can have is the pyro. That tells you what's going on with the engine, so it's often a first indicator of trouble with the engine, so it's good to have a big pyro. Fuel gauge, voltmeter, and these are your spring pressure. So basically when the truck is loaded, the airbags have these gauges on them. It'll tell you how much weight's on there, so you know if you're sort of up straight up and down, that's pretty good, that's pretty full. If you're starting to go over, that's getting pretty heavy, depending on your configuration. Obviously some guys run it there all the time with heavy transporters, but with us we're sort of aiming to be sort of around 3.5 to 4.5 is good weight. Any less than that you start getting a bit concerned about your weights further back, and also traction on the big hills like the saddle. So over here, clock, turbo boost gauge and fuel restriction, engine oil temp, engine oil pressure, engine water temp, all very important. And then use your axle temps and trans temp, and then down here is your air supply pressure, so that's the air in your tanks. So obviously for those who don't know, once these get low, your brakes will be locked on, and your buzzer will come on. So if you've got trucks got an air leak when you park up, many of us will know, sometimes you park up, you lose all your air overnight, you start your truck up, these gauges will be down low and a buzzer will sound until they build up enough to release the brakes. And this one here, AdBlue gauge, that's your after fuel treatment. Heater controls, cruise control up here, very old school, push button on the dash, obviously because we don't run the smart wheel in the Legend. Adjustable steering column, I'll just flick it up when I'm not driving. Up here, radio and CB, we're both turned off at the moment. Check back in actually. Again, key down the right here. It's very old school. Most of them are usually, what are they? I'm just trying to think. Oh no, it's been a while since I've driven something else now. I'm so used to this. Then you get radio, CB. I am currently looking for a Texas Ranger. I like the old school Texas Ranger CBs. I'm really hard to get now. Can't get them in Australia because everyone runs a UHF in Australia, and in New Zealand the agent here who used to bring them in from the States and convert them no longer does, so everyone sort of snapped them up. I used to own one in my truck that I owned, but I sold it with the truck unfortunately. Looking back now, I wish I'd kept it, but I keep the mic on the retractable doodad. This is my power cigarette, that's like the old school cigarette lighters. The trucks don't have cigarette lighters anymore, so there's your power, your USB charger, cup holders obviously. Over here that's your air buzzer, low air buzzer, also does indicators. So again, for those who don't know, American trucks and same as these Australian Kenworths, they don't have self-cancelling indicators, so when you go around a roundabout or an intersection and you straighten up again, the indicators don't turn off by themselves. So for that reason they have these beepers, so that you don't drive down the road with your indicator on and you don't realise. So that's what that is as well, but it's also your low air buzzer. These little Kenworth logos, for anyone who's interested, you can buy wheel nut covers, chrome wheel nut covers that have these on them. It's just a little stick on. I just peel them off and stick them on there, and I've got one on there as well. It's not really all that dark, but I can turn the lights on, you can't really see the gauge illumination. No, it's too light in here, never mind. And John likes the radar detectors, he just puts in all his trucks. I have converted a couple of things in here. I've done the gear knob obviously to match the brake knobs I changed over. Obviously the chrome toggle switch extensions, these are usually black plastic, these little switches, I've put the chrome extensions on. I've also swapped out the lights for the watermelon. Still working on adapting these. For some reason they won't fit in here with both the switches in. They are in there, but they're sort of jammed in there and they're not lined up, so I can't get all the screws in. So I'm working with the supplier at the moment to get those sorted, hopefully before too long. John again likes the sheepskin seat covers. They're pretty soft and comfortable to drive on. There's lots of little details in these too that are quite neat. The Legend series, they got the stitching on the door, inside of the door card. There's a little plate down there on the inside. A little Kenworth, embossed Kenworth. Alright, let's jump into the sleeper. We're going to the back here. It's actually probably a bit dark for filming. We'll do what we can. Again, I've got the watermelon interior light in the back here. This here's the aircon unit. So for Australian people who are used to ice packs, these aren't quite as good as I've been fortunate enough to drive an Aussie import K200 for Brett Marsh Transport, and it had an ice pack fitted, and those are incredible. These aren't quite as good as that, but they're quite a bit cheaper and they run pretty good actually. Once I drop this curtain down, so so that separates. It's a blackout curtain, black vinyl, so you drop that down and have those vents closed, and it's pitch black dark in here. It's like midnight. And once I drop that down, that keeps it to so you're only cool in this back area here, and within, I'd say, less than an hour, it's pretty comfortable in here on a stinking hot day. That works really well, and that is just, it's probably one of my favorite features of these trucks working for John. Obviously there's the vents that you can open and shut, little side vents, and the cab doors as well open. There's a release here, you pop that whole thing opens as a door, but I won't do that because I've got stuff down there that's going to fall out. I think you can get cupboards in these, I'm not sure, but John spec these with just shelves, these ones, so I've just put some little boxes to put stuff in. Big parcel shelf up there, there's my running gear. So keep our bags, spare paperwork, DG load plans, permits, stuff like that we have to carry. There's obviously the Aerodyne window curtains, which I don't tend to open all that often. I probably could have done for this video actually to let some light in hindsight, but yeah. Down here's like a little wardrobe. I keep my rubbish bin there. I get my high vis bag, goes down here. Usually there's a nice little gap. John's offset the fridge, so the pull out fridge, John's offset it on this over to the side, so that's good because it bag fits my bag, overnight bag, which I keep a week's worth of gear in. Fits nicely down there. I can reach it from the driver's seat. Yeah, gun here for cleaning out, blow all the dust out. And yeah, some controls down by the bed here, extra lights for reading, little pocket. There's a light, the switch here for the main one as well, and that's about it. This is my office. Oh yeah, the custom boot. John had the custom leather boot made up. There's some more Legend SAR stuff. It's everywhere, honestly. On the back wall here, I don't know if you can see, but on the back wall here it's got like it embossed into the vinyl as well. Legend SAR anniversary. And that's it.